Okay, welcome everybody to the Referral Challenge Q&A Mastermind call for Friday, February 16th. The only update I have is that Local by Referral is pretty close to being done. And Monday I will have something for all of you. It's been very exciting the last few weeks, been working quite a bit with Camellia to try and dial this thing in and make it simplified as much as possible. That's sort of my motto now going forward. I got up on my board here, just simplify, trying to simplify everything. It's so important. And this is Local by Referral is a big idea. And logistically, there's a lot going on. And so it was very important to try and simplify all that so it can be implemented successfully and everybody gets traction and gets results from it. So very happy with the way things are looking right now. And like I said, Monday we'll have something. I will release something. It might not be in its entirety. It might be a two-stage process, but I will release something on Local by Referral on Monday. So very excited about that. Keith, thank you for bearing with me for all this, all you guys. But Keith, I know, has been hot, ready for this for a while. And so it's going to be good and it'll be exciting. So that's my update. Aaron, anything on your end?
Just another day better looking, another day sharper, a little broader in the shoulders. No, broader in the waist, narrower in the shoulders.
Oh, no. That's the wrong way, brother.
It's good to see everybody. Keith, hadn't seen you in forever, dude.
Yeah, it has been a while.
Yeah, it's been crazy around here, but I'm glad I could make it today, so.
We're glad you could too. In fact, I think we're going to start with you, Keith. Give us an update on how things are going. Also, would be interested in hearing. I think you updated that story in the group regarding the woman who was working for you. But if there's any new news on that, be interested in hearing about that too. So let us know how things are going.
Yeah, so I guess for those who don't know, I had somebody who she's still in school, and she decided she basically quit working here to go to finish out her senior year of school and do her sports and so forth. But in the meantime, she started working at another gym and was promoting it on Facebook. And so I reached out to her and just said, we have a non-compete. You're not really supposed to do that. And it's weird because she kind of upset about it, and then it's continued on since then. She wanted me to send her a copy of her contract so she could see exactly what she signed. I'm like going, you didn't read it the first time you signed it. I mean, but anyway, I just tried to explain to her, like, for me, like what your response, Eric, was it just seems like common sense. Why would you go out there because she wants to come back to work here after she graduates. And I was just like, I can't hire somebody who's actively out there promoting another gym. I was like, do you not understand that? So it's just a weird thing, but we'll see how that all shakes out. I imagine she will not be coming back to work here but whatever. So, yeah. And, because of that, that's, one, she only gave me like a 1 week notice. So then I've been scrambling trying to, I've got someone else training right now, but I'm putting in 10, 11 hours a day right now covering shifts and stuff, but that's okay. So, but as far as what I've got going on, I mean, I actually joined in with Mike Fernandez's ROI group, and downloaded that, the systems thing. And I now have an admin. So she and I are getting together every week and piecing together all the pieces, including, like I was just reviewing like your onboarding system from the referral challenge and just building all that out. So it's been really kind of cool. And I'm realizing just exactly how much crap I do every day, as far as like, this is stuff somebody else could be doing, and it's, but that's been really neat. It's been a good process. And then along with that, we're looking into 17 hats to possibly work on workflows. And I know Rick has experience with that. And actually I had a question about, I don't know if anybody else uses 17 hats, but it's, in terms of like the onboarding process, when you're going to have multiple touches, like we talked about with, a new member, and then like 90 days out, they get something, or 30 days out and 60 days out, you can build all that out in 17 hats, or at least that's my understanding.
Yep.
And I just think could be really, and plus they'd all get assigned to whoever's supposed to be doing those things. So it may be a really cool thing to use, but I was actually curious Rick or anybody else who knows, you can do automated email sequences through there. But do you know if you can have attachments to it? Like if we wanted to send somebody a document or whatever as part of their onboarding process, can you actually do that?
Yes. Now, I wouldn't use 17 Hats to replace your autoresponder. But
right.
You got a workflow like for a transformation challenge or like an ongoing thing, it works perfect. I actually have emails built into it that goes out on certain days. So yeah, you just build them in, you know, it's basically copy and paste, decide what day you want it to go out, and you do it that way. And it works really, really slick. You don't have to worry about it. It goes out automated.
Right.
Yeah. What's really cool about 17 Hats now, I don't know if you saw this, Keith, but I can now start sharing like my templates and my workflows with you, just like ClickFunnels allows.
I think you mentioned that on some other call I was on with you guys. So yeah, I didn't look at that feature in there, but I was aware of that because you'd mentioned that before. So that's really cool.
So like if you're doing the transformation challenges, I can send you my workflow. I can send you the templates, and all you have to do is go in and tweak it to your liking. So it can save a lot of time, because it took me some time to build that out, especially the one for the entire year.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Does 17 Hats integrate with just about any autoresponder service? Like, what are you using, Keith? What's your primary email marketing service?
So I just use Zen Planner's automated thing. It's probably not the best option, but since I already use Zen Planner for all my client management stuff, they have an automated thing in there too. But you can't put attachments in there. Like if I wanted to send somebody a document, I can't do that through Zen Planner. So
yeah, you can put attachments in the emails with this. It's just another document that you created in there effectively. Because like with emails, I'll send out documents like with NPS when somebody signs up, documents that I want them to fill out that I created in there, and just, you know, attach it to it, and it just sends it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm liking the feature so far. I haven't made a final decision on it yet, but I probably will sign up. It just seems like it's going to streamline things a lot. And plus with having an admin, having her be able to do a lot of that stuff in there too will be great. You know, I mean, I just think it's going to help us work more efficiently. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. And what's really cool is once you attach a client to a workflow, every day when you or anybody logs in on the admin side, it pops up and tells you exactly what needs to be done for each person that day in that workflow.
Yeah, so that's what I liked. So
yeah, so like for example, we're like the first week now of our current transformation challenge, and not everybody starts the same day, so we don't put them in until the day they start. So like today it came up, my admin had to send 5 people text messages, and then there was 3 others that she had to go in and do a Facebook post. It tells you exactly what to do, and then she can go in, and I've got the basically the template for what those Facebook posts and those text messages are. She just knows exactly what to do. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, when that calendar comes up, she knows exactly what to do for that day. And I also know that next Monday or Tuesday, she'll be bringing me a list, because one of them is that I personally have to call X amount of people on such certain day of their challenge.
Yeah. It's a neat software for sure.
So yeah, you'll like it. You will.
I think it'd be worth the investment. But so go ahead, Eric.
No, I'm fascinated by it. It's neat to see these things. I first heard about 17 Hats from Alicia, and then I heard Rick was using it too, and I know Rick's pretty adept at it. I think some others are using it as well. It's fascinating what it can do. It's very robust. I just pulled up the page again because I wasn't clear on everything.
Yeah.
But what I'm curious about, Keith, are you able to, like, for instance, you're using Mike's program. Are you able to take the onboarding, like the referral challenge onboarding sequence, are you able to put those documents or the SOP, for example, into Google Docs, just like Mike puts his docs into Google Docs? Is that something that you would want to do, number one? And if so, can you do it?
Yeah, well, so what I've been kind of doing is I've been creating a document that's just kind of the workflow of this is what happens from a person reaching out to us, becoming a lead, say to the point they come in for a consultation, and just all the steps that have to happen in there. And then my admin is going to load that into the ROI system, basically. Because the way he has it set up, there's all the documents in there are linked. And so we'll just replace his document with my document, basically. So I'm looking at his thing as being like just a blueprint. I mean, I don't run the same kind of facility he does.
Right.
So it's really just a matter of, okay, we have this system is there, and then we're just going to fill in the pieces with our stuff and our ways of doing things. So
yeah, the way Mike's is set up, I mean, you've got a whole lot of documents. Everything you do, every SOP is put in there basically as a Google Doc. But then you have one master page that just basically, if this, click here, and it takes you to those pages behind the scene that shows them how to do. Now, right. I will tell you that it really works, because today I had a brand new girl start, okay? And Sue, my admin, had been working on this, put it together. We created a document just for her, and Sue sent the link just to this new girl on what she needed to do today. I had to do 0 training. She'd never been in here and never worked here at all. But I had to do 0 training. She just pulled up that doc, followed it, and I didn't have to fix a single thing. I didn't have to answer a single question. So that's, to me, a testament for what Mike's system is when you really get it dialed in.
Right.
That's beautiful. That's exactly how a system should work.
Right. Yeah. Well, and so the admin I have is only here for like 9 more weeks, and then she's leaving town. And we knew that going into it, but that's the thing, exactly what Rick said. When she's ready to go, I'll be able to just bring someone else in and say, here it is, and maybe spend an hour with them, or maybe she spends an hour with this new person, and I can probably be completely hands off on it, which is, it's a great thing. But for me, the coolest thing about what, Mike's product is I've been talking about systems forever and ever and ever, and it's just sitting down and finally doing it was just not happening. So having that there is just like, okay, I mean, I have no excuse not to have these systems in place now. And so I'm just, and so I've got that, again, all the stuff that you guys have provided is going to get molded into it. Also, because I purchased that early, I'm in Rick's group, the supplement sales system, which I'm going to be implementing that into there as well.
Mike is actually building out something for the ultimate supplement sales system in there.
Cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
And for ProDiets.
Right. Yeah. So it's just, I don't know. I feel like this last year and a half, I've been gathering all this information, and now it's going to finally get done,
Yeah.
When you hear what Chris over here is doing, what he showed us yesterday was absolutely brilliant, and how all of this is starting to really come together. Your and my conversation Wednesday is going to take just a completely new shift, Eric.
All right, good. Yeah, because it's the interesting thing, Keith, what you just said, about how gathering the information and now you're implementing, actually leveraging that information into a system that can give you greater leverage in your business and the freedom and the results that you're looking for. This is what we talk about quite often, is just the process that business in general is. Just like marketing, everything, it's a process. It's an optimization process. But, it helps if you can get little things done along the way, as opposed to trying to dump everything down into, intense work, periods of hard work. But one way or the other, as long as you can get it done and get that leverage, which you're starting to get, then that's key. Yeah.
So I just feel like there's a lot of momentum going on, and even with all these other distractions, like the coach leaving and all this other stuff that's going on, again, just having that blueprint essentially from Mike has just been critical to that, and having the admin too. We've got a Google Doc that we just are just communicating through. It's like, I'll just type something in there, and of course she can see it live, and then she'll respond. It's like, I need you to do this for me or whatever. And she'll give me to-dos and things like that. But it's just, I feel like, with everything else going on, I'm still being very productive, which is nice. So, and we're about to have our own 6-week challenge is about to start. So that's going to be an interesting thing too. But so anyway, that's what I got going on. And I guess that if you're putting out the what you just mentioned on Monday, I guess that I now have no excuse not to, since I'm the one that's been bugging you so much about about that. I guess now I have to actually implement it, huh? So
you do. Everybody does. Yeah, it's a requirement. Yeah. I think you're going to want to. I think because we'll see. I mean, I know you do. You're sort of set up. You've got your ducks in a row for the most part, so it should work well for you.
Awesome. Well, that's what I've got. I'll probably have to leave here in about 10 minutes, but I'm going to sit in for the rest of it.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. I appreciate it. It's just interesting to hear, that you're enjoying the experience with Mike's product and getting a lot of benefit from it. And the story that you just told, Rick, when Mike first mentioned this thing, it's one of those things. I have a real good sort of intuition about product and what will sell well and do well. When he told me about this, I just was like, you've got a major winner on your hands, and it will. He's going to do very, very well with that product, particularly if he continues to optimize it as he has, working with people like you, Rick, and Chris, and other folks, and whoever has good input for him. That's going to be a big winner. Big winner. All right, good. Rick, since you mentioned Chris, I'm curious now, Chris, I want to hear what you guys were just talking, or what that reference was about. So Chris, why don't you let us know what's going on?
Yeah, sure. So really been focusing right now on additional streams of revenue to supplement the training. So right now just focusing on ProDiets, getting that up and going. And with that, what I've been working on creating is just a stick campaign, or a wow campaign for those folks that are coming into the system with short video clips. We figured out how to record the cell phone on your laptop so that I can actually navigate my cell phone and it shows up on the computer screen while I'm talking, and I can record that. So I was able to take all the pieces of ProDiets, break it down into each individual steps or components, short little 2 to 3 minute videos outlining those steps, and then built that out into an email campaign over 30 days with, building value and overcoming obstacles and all of these things. So that's kind of what Rick's talking about. So that's almost done right now. So that's kind of where my focus has been.
That's beautiful. So just you said it's a stick, sort of a wow campaign. So you're giving them some added value, but it's also an onboarding process. You're kind of helping them understand and implement the software better. Is that correct?
What he's doing, he's creating videos that is showing them how to use the software in 2 and 3 minute bites. And it's brilliant. And he's also putting it in his Facebook group, his community group, and it's brilliant. It is absolutely, he showed us his emails yesterday that he's using in Infusionsoft, how he's putting them in the group. And it's brilliant. I actually asked him to create the SOP for ProDiets for it because it is so well thought out the way he did it.
That's fantastic. Are you getting any feedback yet, or is it still too early?
Yeah, I haven't started it yet. I'm still building it out. Probably a couple more days, and I'll be ready to go.
But what he has done, just putting the videos in his community Facebook page, he's been getting responses like, "Oh my God, I was going to give up on this until I saw this today."
Right.
Yeah. So,
nice. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's what's been going on, and then a second layer to that has been we rolled out our accountability group nutrition program yesterday. So that's like the second tier in the process. So we launched that with our members yesterday, and we're going to run it as a beta group for the first group, just kind of get people going with it, and only accepting 20 people. We got 10 people signed up already. I just launched it last night. So looking forward to that being another additional stream of revenue in the next month.
High-five me through the screen. Well done, Ken. Your first time promoting it. That's good stuff.
Yeah, sweet. What are you charging for that, Chris?
That one's going to be, for this particular one that we're doing right now, is going to be $29 a month for the way I'm running it for existing clients, and then it's going to be more for non-member. We're going to do it externally as well.
Yeah.
At a whole different price point. I haven't gotten that one figured out yet.
Awesome. And does that include the use of ProDiets in that accountability program?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. That's excellent. And that might be, like you said, you use externally. It might be a perfect product to launch into your SmartStart group.
Yep.
Yeah. That's good stuff, man. So you feel good about it?
Yeah. Real good.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Congratulations. That's excellent. I mean, if Rick says it's killer, then it's killer. Yeah. So good deal.
It's killer. Trust me.
Awesome. All right. Very good. Adrian, it's good to see you, brother. Let's jump over to you. Why don't you give us an update? Let us know how you're doing and any questions or issues we can help you with.
I'm good. No questions or issues. I just like being on these calls out of habit. I actually miss being on these calls a lot. That's why I'm here. I'm here just to listen and give input. But no, I mean, I'm always like just getting back on track with everything. Been getting a steady stream of new people in, which is good because I needed that. And so that's still going on. We're just running like a series of 6-week challenges. Pretty much we start like every 3 weeks. And I've just been running ads consecutively for it just to build up capacity again. So that's that. And then currently on my to-do list, I don't know. There's a lot on my to-do list. One of the most important things I want to do, and Keith, it may help you out because I was listening to you. Like just like how you have a system for always marketing for clients, just like always having a system for marketing for coaches or trainers or whoever. I'm learning that there's a lot to be said about that. And so that's what I'm building out currently. That's one of my pet projects in the meantime. Because then you don't end up having to work 11-hour days like crazy. Plus I've also just had to learn the lesson of like, what is it? The cost of like lost opportunity. And so basically whenever you're training sessions, you're losing a lot of opportunity, which sucks. So it's always worth having that. I don't know. So I'm just building out a system. I'm going to pay for it. So it's a cost of doing business, but I think it'll be really helpful to always have like people in, even if you're not hiring, you can still tell the people that are interviewing that, hey, well, like if we let you know, if we ever need somebody, but at least it's good. So that's my biggest thing. I don't know. I figured that would help you out, man. I'll let you know when I get it built up and going, because I think it'll be useful. But then, yeah, you're not left without, a hole to fill. Yeah. So that's that. And then otherwise, really the biggest thing I've been focusing on, which is kind of funny, because it's like the number one thing that I wanted to work on coming back into this group in the first place months ago, was retention. So building out a really good retention system. I'm finally, basically what I've done, and I've been reluctant about doing this, but I'm just going to divide the entire list of members and just assign a certain segment of the list to the coaches. And then every single month, they're just going to rotate lists. So that way clients hear from everybody. There's no like singular attachment being made, because then if a coach goes rogue, I'm not effed again. So that's good. But I think in this case, then what's going to help a lot is that we're just doing like a lot of more communication with members, and then also reintroducing handwritten cards, which is a big deal because I didn't want to do it yet without having a steady team. But now that they're kind of in place, I want to do that again. So I have each coach writing out handwritten cards to their segment. As long as they get everybody on that list done in the month, that's all that matters. And then every coach switch lists. So every client is getting a card every month from a different coach. So that's nice. And so that's really going to help a lot, I think, because that's just cool and people like it. And then otherwise, really just like organizing my team. We've done a lot in terms of like developing what our key areas of responsibility are, what we should be focusing on, and then having everybody assigned to that. And then like just making sure that we're all on the same page with things. So I don't know. Just been doing what I got to do, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good. That's a lot of very productive, smart stuff that's going on there. Real quick, I want to back up to what you're talking about, the funnel essentially for the marketing funnel for staff.
Yeah.
Have you thought that through yet or designed it yet? What the steps might be?
I think the easiest way I'm going to have it done is just model it after what I do for clients. So like ads, they click on the ad, they're going to go to a landing page. And then there's a nifty little tool called Schedule Once that I learned about that has like you pretty much it's like Calendly. Like they're able to pick a time, pick a day, and then that sets the interviews. And then as soon as they schedule an interview, it's just us following up with them to make sure they actually show up, just like a client, and then interview them, see how they are, and then go from there. So I'm trying to like model it exactly like how you do it for like a person out there in the ether. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And I think that sounds good. But one of the things I would encourage you to consider and potentially test is adding another step into that funnel. And here's why. When you're trying to get clients, you want them now. You're looking for immediacy. If you've got all your spots filled, your staff spots filled, and really what you want to do is just keep a pipeline full of leads, potential leads, then you don't need somebody right now. It's not an urgent need, but you want to keep those leads coming. So what I would do is I'd try and qualify the lead one more additional time prior to meeting with them, because that's going to sift and sort. It's going to weed out the tire kickers and just give you the best of the best. So I'd go advertisement to landing page to a specific task. Like, for instance, you capture their contact information, blah, blah, blah. And then the task is, hey, record a video, explain to me why you think you'd be right for this job. Something simple like that. Have them submit the video. Those that submit the video then get scheduled for an interview because they've taken that next step. They've jumped that hurdle. They've proven that they're a quality person, at least to a greater degree. And you'll find, I think, that will weed out probably 50% at least of your leads, which is good because you don't want to be spending too much of your time talking to people who are just going to be tire kickers.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll do that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, good. But I think it's a great idea. It's something that we taught in Duplicator years ago, is that you should try and keep a steady flow of leads coming in. And that's essentially how we did it, what I just described to you there.
Yeah. And that, because I think the most important reason why I want to do it is so that no individual team member thinks they have leverage, or think that, I can just get away with whatever because Adrian's not hiring.
Right.
I hate that shit. So
right.
Yeah.
This is, I don't, everything is so, these days it's so touchy feely. I haven't been in the workforce in a long time. My last job I had was as a copywriter. And I can tell you that I worked for the leading political fundraising copywriting agency in Washington, D.C. And it was cutthroat. I was one of the top writers there. I wasn't the best, but I was one of the top. But every week my job was on the line. Every week. I had the threat of being axed hang over me for as long as I was there, which was 3.5 years. It was that cutthroat. And, I think you should have to produce when you have a job. If you don't produce, you're gone. And the only way you can effectively do that is if you know you can bring, as the owner, is if you know you can bring somebody in to replace them.
Yeah, that's kind of how I like set expectations with coaches, because their primary KPI is retention. Like they have the fun job of having fun, but just because it's fun doesn't mean that if we're like above 2 or 3% attrition, then like, hey, you're not doing your job. That's our line. That's my threshold. And we actually put up a board recently with numbers, like publicly displaying every single number, the number of leads, the number of new clients, the number of cancellations, the number of like lost sheep, people who are like, where the hell are they? So like we have that publicly displayed in the office now, so our team can actually physically see that we're hitting it. And we go over that every week at our team meetings too. Like, okay, these are our numbers. What's going on? Or, hey, these are our numbers. Great freaking work. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'll tell you the story that Pat Rigsby told me when he first created the Producer Challenge. And after they had this huge success with that program, not just selling it, but the results that people got. And I was like talking to him about it. And I said, what do you attribute it to? And of course, it's great coaching and there's all the components that Pat brings to the table. But he said one of the biggest pieces was the accountability. They put this Excel sheet up in Google Docs, and each one of the participants had to list their numbers on a daily basis. And just by knowing that everybody's seeing your numbers, that made people want to perform.
Yep. And we've also done that with our challenges too. Like we have each coach tracking their engagement scores for challengers to see who can do the best. It's just fun. and we have a total engagement score, but it's nice having numbers to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess like on a completely unrelated note, Catherine and I decided to like upgrade our gym life, which is kind of funny. We used to go to this really crappy gym like down the road from us, and we were just there because it had everything we needed. We were like, why don't we just go to this other nicer gym? I'm like, okay, that's cool. And so now we go to the nicer gym, which is super awesome. But on an unrelated side effect for me was like I was able to, because they have all their personal training and their small group training rates on the boards. And I was like, man, I should be charging more money. So because of that, we've raised our rates, not to current members, just to people coming in. That was just funny because I was like, oh, I should do that.
That's good. That's good. That's it. Yeah. So that you actually made money off your gym membership because yeah. Good for you. Good for you.
But that's all that's going on with me. Like doing what I gotta do.
That sounds awesome, and you sound awesome. You sound better than I've heard you in a long time. So I'm glad to hear it, brother.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, no, that's good. All right. Okay, Keith's got to roll. Thanks, Keith. Take it easy. Let's jump down to Eric. Eric Peacock, it's good to see you, man. Let us know how things are going, and if there's any questions or issues we can help you with.
Yeah. Well, I signed the papers to sell my business last Friday.
Congratulations.
So now that's a process that we're going to go through, but no, we've been pretty busy. We did a pretty successful reactivation campaign. Used your old, kind of an offshoot of your old letter back from the old days, Eric. I used that. And are you mad at me or something? Remember the third one? That always gets them on the third one. But
yeah.
So we ran that. We did kind of a mini gold rush event last weekend with some of our strategic alliance partners, and we're raising money for Greg Stern's crisis rescue, and that was good. We got some good leads out of that. We did a wellness night at my kid's school, got some leads out of that. We're running a Bring a Friend this upcoming week. The one challenge I ran into, I haven't talked to you guys since I got my personal ads account shut down by Facebook without explanation. So I was able to find a chink in the armor. I went to my manager's house through her personal account, and we set up an ad through her account on the same page. So we found the backdoor them, but dealing with the Facebook police, they shut an ad down, and they wouldn't tell me. They shut my whole ads account down and wouldn't tell me why. And I went back and forth, and they're like, we don't support your business model, and they're kind of really rude to deal with. So we got around that. We just relaunched the ad. So we're doing that. We built a new website. We were having some issues. Zen Planner does websites now, so they built our website, and I was just telling Camille the other day, I was kind of irritated because some of the stuff they didn't make all the fields required. So we started getting leads, and they fill out their email and their name, and doesn't say what they want, doesn't have their phone number. So we kind of got on Zen Planner a little bit about that, and just finally the website's looking good, and it's kind of where we wanted, but it's taken about 4 or 5 rounds of changes, and kind of like, you guys are a reputable company. I love the Zen Planner software, but you're not the greatest at websites right now. I mean, you make them look good, but in terms of making them, lead generated websites, they're kind of clueless. It's kind of funny, but we love the Zen Planner scheduling software, but I think they're kind of new to the website thing. You can just kind of tell they're missing some basic stuff, but I think we're starting to finally see some traffic off the new website, which is good. We got 3 new leads just in a couple days here. Now it seems like something's changed over. But we just got to get some SEO stuff going there. But yeah, I like it's kind of interesting here in Chris's thing. We just talked about doing an accountability group because some of our existing clients don't necessarily want to do nutrition coaching, but they want accountability. So I'm kind of curious to know what he's doing with that, because 2 of us are precision nutrition certified, and we want to do something like that. And my one coach wants to really do more with that. So that's something that I just was taking notes on, that you're doing something like that. That's something I would like to do this upcoming month. I do have ClickFunnels. My big goal this week is to build my first fish funnel on ClickFunnels. So I want to make sure I learn that software and get rid of lead pages and kind of dump lead pages out. But yeah, no, we're starting to pick up some momentum, and believe it or not, I know some people on here probably cringe when I hear this. Another one of our best things is Thumbtack. We've kind of figured out Thumbtack. We've got some great clients off that. I mean, a lot of them are crappy leads, but once in a while we pick up a few good leads off of that. So we got a lot of poles in the water, and we're just kind of going down and I'm still going to run this thing good. I've got a good team of people, and our systems are coming in place. So hopefully the time the sale comes around, we have a debt-free, well-systemized business to sell, and kind of worked out some lease things with my landlord, and so we're going to do a letter of intent, because he never knows, at some point he wants to expand his business. He's doing physical therapy now as a chiropractor, and it's very lucrative for them. So, but my broker talked to Camellia, talked to my broker. People that have done this thing, we've got that kind of figured out now. So now we marketed. I think Monday it's going to get launched into whatever the MLS version of business brokership is. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice. Okay, so when you say you signed the papers, you meant you've signed an intent to sell. You haven't found a buyer or anything like that.
No, I've signed the contract with the broker, so he's going to work for me. So it's kind of like hiring a real estate agent. So so basically, I put him to work. So he's putting it out there to market it. So
excellent.
He's got everything he needs from me. So he's got all my numbers. He's got pictures. He's got everything he needs for me to market the thing. So it's kind of like a mortgage. They got everything to process it now. So.
Yeah. That's fantastic news, man. Congratulations on that. That's huge. It's a big one. Regarding the Zen Planner thing, I'm curious, the website through Zen Planner, does that mean if you stop using Zen Planner that your that your website goes away too?
No, it's two separate services.
Okay. But
since we are already using them, we figured it would integrate well, and they approached us about it. So, we're not locked in any we have to do a minimum of 6 months with them, or pay out. They have a monthly, but I think we're finally getting where we need to be with them. But it's stuff like, you click on contact us and it goes to our map, just like, gosh, this is like, I was telling Camellia, it's like, this is like website 101. Your lead form should have all required fields, especially like your phone number and stuff. So I'm getting these web forms and it's like a name and an email address, and doesn't tell me what they want. Plus, I always want to get a phone number so I can follow up with them. So, just stuff like that. You're like, it's like I shouldn't have to tell them that when I'm going doing a website update. I'm like, that's kind of like, that's kind of basic common sense. So it just seems to me like they're kind of new at this, and maybe they don't have people doing, the website looks nice, but, my manager is a photographer, so she's pretty like, this picture doesn't look right, so pretty picky on that. So,
yeah. Well, that's good. Stay on top of them. Make sure you get your money's worth out of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Good. So regarding the business sale, the broker, what is a commission for a business broker similar to that of a real estate professional? What's the commission like?
Higher, 12% is the commission.
12.
Yeah.
12. Okay.
I would say it's a harder deal to do than a house or a business. I mean, it's a little bit more, it's a 12. Ours is 12%, the guy I'm using. So,
yeah.
But it's a little higher, but it's at 6 or 7 with a real estate usually. But yeah, it's a different deal. My dad was commercial real estate for many years, and he's trying to tell me, I'm like, your dad, this is commercial real estate. This isn't commercial real estate. This is a different type of deal. It's a little bit trickier of a sale, but you come in with, I know what they told me is I come in with a little bit of owner financing, about 20%, but then 80% comes from them in the SBA, pretty much. So it'll keep a little bit of, kind of minimizes my risk, but I guess the bank likes that. That's what I was told, so everybody's got skin in the game. I got a little bit, but they have a lot, they have some, and so does the bank. So.
Yeah. Are you able to build a little bit of cushion into the pricing of your business to absorb the commission that is going to be paid out to the broker? Or did you have to go by a very strict 4-buy or 5-buy, whatever? I mean, did the bank essentially tell you how to price your business?
No, the broker actually did a real thorough appraisal, and they research your industry. They look at your numbers. They look at, what the trends are for your industry, they do like comps, just like you would on an appraisal. So they do a bunch of research, because my accountant did it when we were looking at bringing on a partner, and it was way higher. And I thought, man, it was like in the 300s. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, that seems really high. But he goes, no, I did it on my software. But but basically what this guy says, yeah, typically accountants just put a bunch of stuff into software, and that's exactly what my accountant did. And this guy did the market research on it, kind of looking at, our region, what the trends are and all, so it was about, I want to say it was about a week-long process before he got back to me. I had to get him all my P&Ls and my balance sheets and everything from QuickBooks. And then he had a whole bunch of questions for me. And so But that sounds to me, I don't know, but it just like 300 something sounded really high for our small facility. I mean, if we were a bigger facility, I could see it being there, but I was really surprised it came in at that. So,
yeah. Okay. All right.
My question is similar to what Eric was asking. Did you build in something for that little bit of owner finance too? Because if they're doing something with the SBA, you're going to be in a subordinate position, a second mortgage effectively, which means if this person that purchases it struggles, you're not going to be their priority. So I think you need to build something in to compensate for that risk involved there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what would you suggest, Rick?
Well, you can only determine what would make you comfortable with that risk. I mean, without me knowing the numbers, it'd be hard for me to throw something out there. There's no necessarily set percentage or anything, but I would build in enough because, like I said, if they default, it all comes back on you. And since at that point, the SBA actually owns the equipment and the business and everything, if they were to default, you're chasing after them. So I would make sure that I'm being compensated a little bit on the front end for taking that risk. Only you can determine what you think it should be, though.
Yeah. Yeah, and I kind of look at like what my financing end of it would be. My dad and I talked about this. We said my financing, even if they did, it wouldn't be ideal, but my risk is pretty minimal compared to the SBA's and the other persons. I mean, it's a small percentage, plus I can charge interest, so the actual sale price goes up. And I looked at what they kind of forecasted out as a payment. It should be doable for them, but it would be like a 4-year note. But
I would almost do like what Eric was saying earlier. I'd build in that 12% into there. So when it's all said and done, you at least covered that through you carrying them.
Yeah, but I'm confused. So you're actually going to carry back the note, Eric?
No. You finance. So what they said is how the deals get done. A lot of times in this, well, I don't know if it's just this, or you said a lot of times the bank they'll put a down payment down, right? So they'll put a down payment down. The SBA will carry most of the note probably, and then I carry maybe 15-20% of it. It's not my finance to me. So
why can't you get lump sum out of that? Why can't you get?
Because they're trying to make it easier to get a buyer, Eric. Yeah. Is what's going on. I used to be in mortgage banking, so I understand what's going on here. Is usually the SBA is going to require, dependent on the person, 20 or 30% down.
Yeah.
So if that person can't come, they want a total of 20 or 30% down. Not necessarily all to the SBA, but they want to see that buyer has skin in the game. So in order for this broker to make the deal happen, he's asking Eric to take back a second mortgage of whatever it may be. Because now that person doesn't have to come up with as much cash up front, but the downstroke in the SBA's eyes is where they want it to be to meet their government guidelines.
Yeah, they want to lower their risk. I get it. Yeah. But they're
making him take the risk.
Right. They dump it onto the seller's shoulders.
And that's why I'm saying if he's going to do that, he needs to build in something to compensate him for that risk they're asking him to take. Otherwise, it's not a good deal for Eric.
Right. I agreed. But is your broker, is he trying to find, I mean, I understand that you can broaden the pool of prospective buyers by providing some type of financing like that. I mean, obviously most buyers are going to need some type of financing, but I would assume that well, now I'm saying it's not making sense to me. I don't know. It's just
what he's doing, Eric. The broker is trying to expand his ability to close a sale and make a commission.
Right. Sure.
That's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's all he's doing, because obviously in a perfect world, Eric gets the downstroke, the bank covers the rest, and then pays out to Eric. Or the downstroke goes wherever, but then the SBA pays out to Eric for the sale. Okay, but the way this is being structured, because the broker says, okay, I can make this happen if my buyer doesn't have to come with as much cash out of pocket.
Right.
I need you to take a subordinate position to the SBA which is a very risky position if there's something was to go bad, okay, and to make this deal happen. So that's why I'm saying you need to think about that risk, Eric, and it needs to be built in there. Otherwise, you taking a subordinate position to the SBA is not going to work out good, because in the long run, when it's being paid off, they're in first position, and it goes through any sort of foreclosure or bankruptcy court or whatever, the court's going to look at the SBA and say, you get paid first, then everybody else can go after the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
kind
why
of
I'm
like a
saying,
mortgage. It's the same thing as a HELOC or something like that on a mortgage.
yeah, it's like taking a second mortgage.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's really interesting. I didn't know about so that the seller would have to carry back part of the note basically, and
He
have.
doesn't have to. The broker just thinks this is the easiest way to get the deal done. He sees an easier way for him to make his commission. It's really what it boils down to.
Well, yeah, it makes sense if everybody. He said then he was pretty upfront about that. He said it's deals get done better this way, but I get the right of refusal too if he brings someone to the table. Basically the contract says if he can't, if I don't, I'm basically going to screen everybody kind of like a pre-qual with auto closer. And if I don't like the deal, I can walk, so that's, I know I was going to be on this call today, and Camille's like, you talked to these guys on this call about this today. So this is like my biggest thing I'm dealing with right now. So. Yeah.
Sure. What are the terms on for a commercial sale like this? What are the terms usually in terms of the length of the contract? If you're carrying back a note, how long would you have to carry it?
Well, we kind of put nothing's written in stone, but he kind of put out there for like a 4-year note. So,
4 years. Yeah. Okay.
It makes
How much would that 20%
down, but I'm charging interest too on the payment.
How much would that 20% be, Eric?
What's that?
How much would that 20% be?
20% is it's about 38,000. So
38.
Yeah.
At about 8% interest. So
what percent interest?
8% interest is kind of what he recommended for it.
You're going to have to make it higher if you want to cover your ass and include that 12% in there. I would go 1.15 at 43.7 divided by 48. So you're looking at a $900 payment a month to you plus whatever he's paying the SBA.
Yeah.
And I just did simple interest at 15% to come up with that number.
And does the broker would get his commission lump sum right out of the down payment, I take it, and he's done. So he's made whole as soon as that thing is signed.
Exactly.
And
that's why I said what I did. Yeah. That's exactly why I threw that out there, because he gets his money and walks.
Yeah.
And now Eric's sitting there covering it, so it's got to be something to cover Eric's ass, so to speak.
Yeah. That's a great point. And I think, Eric, you ought to seriously think about how you can negotiate with this broker potentially to either lower his commission or build something into the price to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what we just talked about is the reason you tell him. Said, look, when this is all said and done, you get your fee up front. I've got to cover this guy. So for me to sell this, you're asking me to accept 4 years worth of risk. There has to be something more than 8% interest to make this worth my while.
Yeah.
So what would you think that interest rate should be at if I were going
to? Either I think if you make the interest rate too high, you can scare the buyer. That's why I think you almost want to build that 12% into the sale price.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you're getting that 12% back over your 4 years, plus your 8% interest on it as well. Does that make sense, Eric?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Very interesting.
This is the accountant in me coming out. I'm sorry.
No, it's beautiful, Rick. I had no idea you had a background in this stuff. And when you started throwing out some terms, I'm like, whoa, that's a little over my head. I need some clarity. Yeah, that's good, man.
Rick's done all of it. He's been everywhere. I mean, the guy is the everywhere man. The guy's been everywhere. But Eric, I've got a couple of questions for you. First of all, a a suggestion first. I think we talked about this once before. But if you've not yet spoken with Paul Fetters on his cell, you should get that guy on the phone and talk to him. He sold his business for a mint, and he asked me how to do it. And I was like, here's how you do it. Get a business broker, right? That's what you do. And so he did, and he sold it. So get him on the phone. This is fresh on his mind in the last year or so. And he'll walk you through it. The other guy you need to talk to, if you can get him on the phone, Forrest Walden. You need to talk to that guy. That guy has sold big business, and has got his friend just full of wisdom, full of smarts. Talk to that guy if you can get him. Finally, when it comes to the sell of this thing, where do you stand? Do you sell and walk away? Do you stand and sell and stay on as a manager to help transition the new owner in? I mean, how's that looking for you?
Well, what would probably happen is I'd stay on and do I have a manager in place. So I'd stay on and consult, and then maybe do a little bit of training to make the transition, maybe help keep a couple of my clients, whatever they decided, but to make the transition go smooth. I know the broker said that a lot of times is, it's like they're there the full week, and then it becomes less and less as the new person implements their system. But I would probably stay on a little bit. I don't know how I know a friend of mine sold a marketing firm. He stayed on for 6 months. That's a different type of business, but I would probably stay on for a little bit at least, just to make the transition go smooth. If that happens.
So you need to be building
days in my mind.
Say that again, Rick.
I would say no more than 60 days. If they can't figure it out, then you're going to have bigger issues anyway.
Well, and to his point, right, is that whatever that length of time is needs to be built into a salary aside and apart from the sell, or it needs to be included into the sell to compensate. But either way, if this thing starts to skip, miss beats and they need you to hang around, you need to be compensated for your professional time to help rescue the business they've just bought.
Absolutely.
That's good stuff. I'm writing us all down. New territory for me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you need to be there 6 months. I mean, if they're wanting to take it over and do it, I think 60 days is more than enough for them to learn your system or what you're doing, or and to be integrated into the business. I mean, the whole idea of you selling it is a step away from it. Well, 6 months and people are still going to be relying on you, and it's going to make it harder when you do leave. And that's something I think you need to be firm on. I mean, I know when I go to sell this in a year and a half, when my daughter graduates, I will not give them more than 60 days. There's no way.
That's because Cabo's calling.
Yes, it is. So is Orlando. So is Hawaii.
So, Rick, those last three, you do need somebody to assist you on those trips, right?
Well, we're going to do it's going to be nothing but masterminds, guys.
No, I say.
That way I'm writing it all off.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hey, Eric, let me ask you another question. If you, for instance, were to find a buyer, does it have to go through the broker? Does the broker still get a commission if you were to bring the buyer in?
Good question. Is it exclusive or non-exclusive?
No, it's not. I didn't think of that, when I signed it. So, I mean, I have a pretty limited amount of people I can talk to here, but no,
it's exclusive.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's going to get the commission either way. So, it's still got to work the deal. So,
yeah.
I wish we would have had this conversation before you signed it.
I wish so too,
But I know how it goes too. You're anxious to do something and get it moving. So.
And burn the bridge behind me before I back out, I kind of thought so,
Yeah.
Well, to that point right there, you need to let those words sink in for a moment, because ultimately what you don't want to do is be so ready to make a move that you overstep, and you make a mistake, right? This part of it's done, Eric, but moving forward into the sell, a sober mind and a brave heart is going to go a long way. And because you'll want to, you're military short now, dude, if you understand what I mean, right? You have now got to a point where you want the sell. You've made the commitment mentally and in your heart. That's what you want. But dude, don't overstep. Don't lose your shirt over it. That's all I'm saying.
Now, something else you can go back and do based on what Eric was saying before, to go back and negotiate whatever into the price and whatever, or whatever else you want to negotiate with this broker. You can also, or try to negotiate their fee down or whatever. Also try to negotiate it to be non-exclusive as well. There's some other things you can try to negotiate, just that you can make the deal better for you.
And even after signing that, that's still, everything's negotiable still, is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, you can always void that one and sign a new agreement that's non-exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's easy to do an amendment that supersedes the original agreement and explains what the amendments are.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
Even though it's signed, it's still negotiable, is the point. The fee can be negotiable. If he's not willing to come down on the fee, then say, hey, then I'd like this to be non-exclusive. Even though the odds are he's going to sell the thing and not you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it still gives you the flexibility if somebody walked in off the streets for some strange reason and said, I want to buy your business. Believe it or not, in this last week, I've had 3 people approach me. And I'm like, well, when my daughter graduates, I'm willing, so we can sit there and start talking, but you just never know what's going to happen, Eric.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. It's worth a conversation too. I think, because at the very least you'll learn something by going through that conversation with him. And sitting down putting yourself in situations where where you have to negotiate, I think is one of the best business building, skill building situations you can be in, because it requires you to think on your feet, be smart, also come in prepared. And you never know how people are going to react. You know, that's one of the things you try and teach new salespeople, is not to prejudge, because you never know. You have to just go through the motions and sell. So I would encourage you to go through that, go back and try and sit down with this guy and renegotiate this deal. And maybe say, even if he won't, you know, I'd try and say, hey, I'd like a non-exclusive agreement. But if he doesn't go for that, then say, hey, well, here's the deal. I'm a marketer. You know, I've been doing this pretty successfully, running my own business for a long time. I know how to get, and so I want to put forth the effort to bring some people in, reach out to my sphere of influence and such. And if I do, if they come through me, I only want to pay whatever 50% of your commission, as opposed to
I want to pay you just to facilitate the sale.
Right, a lump sum or something. I mean, a flat rate or something like that. Yeah, you know, it's worth it anyway. The point is, it's worth it to have the conversation, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a big deal. I put in 13 years, you know, and like you said, you know, he gets to walk, you know, and if it goes south, so.
Yeah, as soon as you said that you were going to take a note on 20% in the SBA, that's when my red flags popped up.
Yeah. And here's the other thing, Eric. I mean, the guy smells, potentially, I'm not going to speak for him, but he potentially smells, you know, blood in the water, in the sense that, you know, 12% off of, I don't know how much you're selling your business for, but dude, that's a nice little payday if he can get you to come up with 20% of the sell price. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's kind of feeling weird right now. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So if you can find the buyer, then I'm with Rick and Eric all day long that this guy doesn't walk away with 12% off the top of the sale. You're coming out 20% for the SBA, and lo and behold, he gets to walk, and you get the risk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's really good points.
Yeah, that interesting, because that would scare me a little bit too. Because I, in fact, years ago looked into the opportunity of using, and Eric and I have talked many times. Eric is a real estate investor as well. I looked at many times selling a property or two privately and carrying back the note myself, because there was good money to be made in that opportunity. And if there's a default, the house is the collateral. I just reclaim the house. But with the business, there is no such collateral. If they default on that 20% note, there's nothing for you to claim except maybe some equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot of risk. All right. But anyway, so a lot to think about there. I think that was a great conversation. Really appreciate it. I learned a lot. Rick, Yeah, great having you on. And Eric, if further things come up, just post them in the group, and we can give you our feedback for what it's worth.
No, that's great. I appreciate Rick and Aaron and all you guys' input. This is a big deal, and I'll go back to them and talk to them about all this. So,
feel free to reach out too, Eric. I mean, you can always reach out to me.
Yeah, I will do that. This is it's good advice. I know Camelia said you're going to be on with all the big hitters on Friday. Make sure you bring this up. So this is exactly what we were talking about the other day. So no, this is really good. So, and I know you kind of get that different perspective. Like, yeah, that, but you get excited and you're like, okay, I'm moving on to the next phase. And it's like, okay, I just want to move forward with this. And you don't think about it all the time. And, they pitch it as like, well, yeah, you're still going to, if you're going to make the deal happen, and then you're still going to get some income every month. But like you said, your second position, you're done, so.
Well, you're not done, but you are second to the main mortgage.
Yeah. Well, if something goes wrong, you're pretty much done. You're not gonna see.
Yeah, I don't want to go so far to say that, but yes, I would say so. The big thing is it's your business, and you're taking a second position to somebody else to make it happen.
Yeah.
That's the one that I don't like about it. That's the part that just bugs me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, when you put it that way, it does bug me a little bit too now. So, it's like somebody comes to good people to kind of get you to look at things a little different. So.
Yeah, and you've got stats on your side when you come to negotiating with the broker, because if you look at it, a significant percentage of new businesses. This isn't new. It's an existing business that's being bought by a new owner, but still.
But that makes it a new business.
Fail within the first 5 years, and so you got a 4-year note. Not trying to. We're just playing devil's advocate, So these are.
Oh yeah, no, it's.
And what I would do, Eric, I would find out the number of new businesses that fail within the first 2 years, since he's asking you to take a 4-year note.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to talk to him about what fails in the first 5 years. If your notes are only 4 years, he's going to say, well, then that's academic, because you'll be out of it in less than 5 years. Mm-hmm. That makes sense?
Good point.
Oh, that's what I got to finish up on. No, I think that's great. I am writing that down. I got a lot of notes here. But
that's what I would say if somebody told me, well, the average business, X amount of businesses fail in 5 years. Well, don't worry, your note's going to be paid off in 4 years.
Right,
How do you respond to that?
Right. It's a good comeback.
I'll get my money before he fails. Yeah, that's a
good comeback.
Yeah, that's kind of the point. So you do the research, find out what it is for failing in 2 years. And then you say, well, look, X amount of businesses fail in 2 years, but you're asking me to carry a note past that. That's a lot of risk you're asking me to take, and I'm the seller.
Right. A note with no collateral, essentially no collateral.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the collateral is going to go to the SBA, and you're left with whatever's left.
Yeah.
So the one other great big question mark for me on all that is to Rick's point, most businesses fail within the first 5 years. But what I would like to know, and never even thought about, is what's the fail rate of a sell of a business? I know it's considered a new business on bond purchase, but when you're overtaking some, sir?
I'm sorry, Aaron. I'm sorry. I was just saying about it, Chris. Go ahead.
When somebody comes in and acquires a business as a new owner of an existing business with an existing clientele and existing system and all that, right? I would love to know what the fail rate in the first 5 years of that business is, right?
And I could be curious of that too. I mean, I know what it's been around here when a couple of these other gyms tried selling their business because they were struggling. And then the other people ultimately fail within less than 18 months.
That would be my concern right there, Rick, because they didn't have the blood, sweat, and tears starting this thing.
And they don't have the systems or know the systems or how to market or any of that. I mean, let's face it, the stuff that took you 13 years, Eric, you don't know if these people are going to have that experience. So, I mean, are they going to come in and run it like a business or run it like a hobby?
Right.
We all know most people to get into the gym business, they run it like a hobby. They don't learn the business of fitness. So, to Aaron's point, I'd be scared to death of taking a note in that situation.
Right. you've worked for the last 13 years, dude. It is your baby. And when somebody else comes in and buys it, is it their baby? Mm-hmm. That's the great question. They're going to need two things from me, right? If I'm selling it, and I'm not going to take the note on it. If I do take the note on it, well, that's going to be more than two. But here's the deal. Do you have the funding to float this thing in case it goes bad for a while? If you don't have the financial backing to float this thing during lean times, it isn't a sell. Not with my 20% on the line, right? And the other thing I'd want to know at the top of the gate is, have you ever been in fitness?
That's a non-negotiable to me. They have to know the business of fitness. Otherwise, I'm just basically.
And then there's a third one. If, depending on how long they've been in it, are you willing to invest in a mentor to help you make this business successful?
That's
I hate to say it, but if they think they're going to walk in and do it themselves, I'd have to be concerned.
Yeah, and this all goes back to the point that Aaron made earlier, which I think is so important. It's the mindset that you have now entered into, which is what Aaron, or potentially have entered into, as Aaron discussed. You've made this decision, you've signed the paperwork, so you're like, I'm ready to sell. And when you have that mindset, you become eager. You're eager generally, and you don't vet as well. You don't do your due diligence as well usually. So I think all this is so helpful, because really ultimately, Eric, even if the broker brings you a bunch of people and none of them end up being qualified, you still have a viable business that's generating revenue for you, making you money, and you find another broker who can get you better leads or something. So your positioning needs to be, your mindset needs to be that you have all the ammunition, all the strength, everything is in your favor, and you should just be prepared to walk away from any potential buyer who doesn't suit your fancy.
Mm-hmm. The last thing you said, Aaron, though, that's the best thing. The financial backing, because if it does go negative, the fitness experience, because you see a lot of people buy Snap Fitness, and anytime they fail because they think they're just going to make a cash cow. I've seen that happen a lot around here. Yep. And then willing to invest in a mentor. I mean, those are three non-negotiables. Like, that's the things right there, that I need from the buyer. I think that, you got to have a business, like Rick said, somebody who's willing to treat it like a business. And I think if you're not willing to be mentored, that tells you something. That's a big red flag to me. Like,
then their ego's getting in the way.
Yeah.
And ego usually is going to allow us to make really, really bad decisions.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's great. So you have your criteria for vetting that potential buyer, and that's good. That way you're going to get a better person. Another thing to think about, to enlist this, when you talk to the broker, to enlist him as a partner as opposed to just a facilitator of a sale, is say, hey, if I have to carry back a note, how about we carry back together? You own 10% of it, I own 10% of it, and we're partners in this deal, because essentially he's the guy who's bringing you the buyer. So the responsibility is 50% his too.
And what his answer is going to be on that.
I don't know. Yeah.
But that makes a great point.
It does.
That makes a brilliant point.
Yeah.
I love it.
You know what his answer is going to be, but that kind of drives home the point. So you want me to take all this risk for something I'm trying to walk away from.
Right. Wayne, to answer your question,
invested in a business for another 4 years that I'm trying to get away from.
Yeah. Because that guy is the broker. I mean, as much as a good guy he might be, his job is to turn the property. Wayne, to your question, Eric already signed an agreement, but we're talking about potentially he might be able to potentially go back and renegotiate. So that's some of the things we're discussing right now, is what he could potentially negotiate. Yeah.
All right. This is good stuff, guys. I appreciate it. I gotta run and get my daughter to the chiropractor. She jacked her spine up on a roller coaster the other day. So.
Wow.
All right, man. It's good talking with you, Eric.
I will be in the forum, though. I will keep. Yeah, this is good stuff. I took a lot of notes, and I'm glad I got on this thing today. And everything's negotiable, right? So
that's right.
And I don't have to accept the buyer if I don't like the terms. So that's always, like you said, I'm in control here. It's not like I'm I'm forced to do anything here too.
That's right. Just put him in a headlock. Give him a noogie.
Thanks,
All right,
guys.
man.
I got cut out. I appreciate everything.
All right, Eric. See ya. That was great. Rick, particularly thank you for the insights. And as always, it's good stuff. But Aaron, that point that you made, I think was the most important point of the entire conversation.
I do too.
Yeah, hopefully. I think it will sink in. Eric really takes direction very well. You know, that's one of the reasons he's been a successful business owner. He gets information from smart people and then he implements. Wayne, let's talk about you, brother, if you're ready to talk. I see your notes here, but just give us a quick rundown on how things are going and help you with, if you can talk now. Are you still able?
Well, I'm outside and I don't have my headset that has usually been great audio, so I don't know if you can hear me okay.
Yeah, we can
So
hear
far,
you.
so good. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I got ClickFunnels. I've been using a freebie site for a while to create landing pages, and that looks a whole lot better doing that. I've started tracking my time better, and because I wanted to see where my time was going and to see what things could be, delegated to somebody else. And it's really been helpful to, I've tried in the past, like time blocking, like I'm going to do this time and this time, but that always just kind of fell apart. So instead I'm doing it backwards. I'm writing down what I'm doing as I'm doing it, and then seeing how that unfolds. So I've been doing that for 2 weeks. So that's helping a lot. I'm also doing I'm also thinking more like a CEO instead of the one-man show that's got to do everything. And we've talked about this before, like letting go. If you delegate something, letting go and not getting involved, and let them do it themselves, giving them ownership of it, and that's been a huge relief. When I started in this group a year ago, I was really stressed. I wasn't sleeping much. I was busy, 15, 16 hours a day, stressed out, and it is completely different now. And it's a lot of it is causing stuff you guys have taught me. I've started having my coaches do a weekly check-in. I send them a Google form, just a link to a Google form that's got some questions on it. What were some wins you've had this past week? Some losses, some aha moments. I forgot what else I said.
How can I help?
Add that.
Yeah,
that's at the bottom. Yeah, that's wins, losses, any aha moments, like something happened this week that was different, or they did a different warm up that was something they could share with the other coaches. And that's been a big help. And it's like bringing the coaches together, because a lot of times coaches don't see each other if they're in there at all different times. So they're coming and going. It's like shift work. You might not see each other or work with that person. So that's kind of bringing them together and helping.
It's building a team, a real team. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's more of what I've been doing, is that team mentality. Everything else is good.
So, Wayne, you might want to incorporate one other step in that process, and that is what we used to call it Iron Tribe Johnny Bagger moments.
Johnny who?
Johnny Bagger, all right?
Uh-huh.
It was the story of a mentally challenged grocery bagger at the store. And he's unable to, nobody's really wanting to go through his lane and everything, but, people go through his lane. He ends up starting writing handwritten notes and started dropping them in bags. And before you know it, his inspirational notes had people lining up behind the cash register with open cash registers to go through this guy's lane to get his little Johnny Bagger moment note, right? And so we incorporated the Johnny Bagger moment at Iron Tribe in the sense that what was the Johnny Bagger moment this week, right? And Forrest would make a point about pointing out something that somebody did that went above and beyond that delighted customers. Just a way to gamify it a bit.
So you're saying you're asking the coaches, what did they do to have a moment?
Yeah, Johnny Bagger moment from them, or you could do it the other way. Or you could have the other trainer say, this trainer had a Johnny Bagger moment, and nominate them for the Johnny Bagger moment of the week or something like that. You can do it just any way you want to, but it just helps people be recognized for, you know, going the extra step, extra mile, and delighting clients.
Great. Thanks.
I think that's a great idea. You're getting fodder as well. Wayne, I'm going to mute you just for a second because we're getting a little bit of background. Oh, wait, it's not from you. Is that from you, Rick? No. All right. It's gone. What I was going to say is, you know, we're always looking for fodder, things that we can share with our list that, you know, about the business, particularly on Facebook and in your emails and things like that. And if you're soliciting that type of stuff from your trainers on a regular basis, then you have ammunition. You have some stories you can tell, and that's good. And hopefully they got pictures or something like that, and you can tell them, hey, if something good happens, get a picture, do something, record a video, do something, you know, help me out. Get them to help you in your content creation. I've unmuted you. Go ahead, Wayne.
I was just going to say the other thing I've been more consistent about is making sure I get a transformation story from members, at least 1 or 2 a week, and then sending that out to the email list and also posting in Facebook. But that's really, you know, getting somebody's story, because I mean that's just proof, you know, the weekly proof. But I've been more consistent about that, and that's helped a lot.
That's awesome. And let me take that a step further. Social proof is so important, and it's so underdone. But you know, it's not emphasized enough by businesses in general, fitness businesses specifically. One of the things that you ought to do, because and this is a good CEO role, is when your trainer provides you with that story, get the contact information for that client and call that client and tell them, hey, I'm Wayne. If they don't know you, I own, you know, Fit Body, and I heard that you've had these whatever great results, and I just want to talk to you about them and see if I might be able to, you know, get you on a Skype call or something, or a Zoom call and record it, or if not, just talk to them about it and get information from them. It builds good rapport between you and the client. It's great in that way. It, you know, builds more stronger relationship, but it also allows you to dimensionalize that story, that success story, even more when you go to write it down, and it might lead to a video later on or whatever. Because if you can, you know, if you can capture, and this should be a goal, I think, for every fitness business, you capture 10 really good success stories every year, you'll have all the ammunition you need, marketing ammunition you need forever. Because that's just like what Rick just did with this process with Eric Rokeach. I know you weren't on the call last week, I don't think, but Rick shared what he's done, having, you know, a bunch of us talk about him and his impact. Generating that type of social proof is just so valuable. That's the point I want to make. And you as the CEO can make it even more valuable by going the extra mile when your trainer provides you with a little bit of a starter story. Does that make sense? Do you follow me?
Yeah. And so far, it's me initiating that. I'm in there enough that I'm still in the trenches enough that I know everybody. And when I see that somebody has lost some weight or has just been there long enough, or just something, even if it's not weight, even if it's they get a good report from the doctor about the blood work, you know, that's big too, because I don't want it to just be about weight loss. But after I do those transformation things, I print them out and publish, or, you know, just kind of make it look kind of nice and put it on the wall. So there's a bunch of them on the wall now. But yeah, that's going good.
Excellent. All right, very good. Also liked what you said about tracking your time. Are you doing that in a journal then? Do you carry a journal with you, or how are you doing it?
I finally started using my calendar.
Okay.
It's a handwritten calendar.
Yeah, good. Interesting. Have you found any interesting little tidbits about, you know, that you thought you were doing a lot less time here or a lot more time there or whatever? Anything jump out at you?
I realized that I'm not going back and reviewing stuff in Facebook groups like TRC, like I should be. And then before I know it, it's been 2 weeks and I haven't gone back in to catch up on things. And sometimes I do it before the call and I'll see all this cool content that's been posted that I'm missing out on. So I need to block out time during the week so I can do stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's tricky. I mean, I guess a good person to talk to about that is Rick, because frankly, you've explained it before, Rick, but I still don't know how you do all the stuff that you do, manage all these groups and interact with all these people. Because I struggle with that too, Wayne, what you just talked about, but it is important to do. Stay on top of things, because you always get good ideas. And I just the other day spent 20 minutes in Pat's virtual fitness mastermind, just scan through some things. It's like light bulbs going off in my head. It just sparks all these great ideas. So definitely worthwhile.
What I do, Wayne, I have a little app on my computer called Self-Control. And I can go in and block certain websites that I know can suck time away. And I can block them for time frames. So like if I want to block off, for example, 2 hours a day, I go in and tell it I do not want to be these websites to be able to be accessed for 2 hours. Like obviously Facebook is one, my email is another one, which I'm pretty good about staying away from that anyway. And then I have another little Chrome app that has a timer that goes and I can set it to go for 2 hours, 25 minutes, and then it'll beep and I get 5-minute break. And then it beeps and I start back 25 minutes again, because you start going too much longer than 25 minutes and you lose your focus. So I'll do that for my 2 hour periods. I've got the programs off on the internet or whatever that can be my time vampire, so to speak. I can't even get into them. It's just simply for that 2 hours, you cannot access them whatsoever. And then I use this other, and I play a little game. I'll have a list of what I want to get done. I'll see if I can get it done in less than 2 hours. I'll play this little game with myself. And that's how I do it. I try to block out at least 3 days a week where I go through these 2 hour blocks. When I know I need more time is when I go out to Vegas, and I'll do it twice a day because I know nobody will distract me here. And I'll do it for 2 hours. I'll take a break, go walk around like the malls, get something to eat, come back and do it for 2 hours later. And that's how I get stuff accomplished, to be very honest with you.
Yeah, I like that.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, last year when Eric mentioned the timer, I play that little game too. Like if I have a task to do, I try to set like maybe however long I think it's going to take. And usually I way underestimate how long something's going to take. So I set the timer, and then it makes me rush because I'm trying to beat the clock, and that does make me stay on task more.
Yeah.
The Chrome app that I use is called Marinara, Marinara, and it's a typical Pomodoro timer, 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off.
Yeah.
Which, if you know anything about Pomodoro in the history, it's just an efficiency timer that you use. So, and I'll just, like I said, I'll go block off those sites. I'll turn that on and I'll go to work and I'll turn off my phones too. I'll forward them to somebody else so I don't have to worry about phones, and I just go to town.
Yeah. Hey, Wayne, unless there's anything else, I want to wrap up. But before I do, I got a question for both you guys. And Aaron, you might know the answer too. I'm just curious, when you're doing your Facebook ads for your various front-end offers, what's the most successful offer call to action that you used? Is it what Adrian talked about earlier? Are you just driving people specifically to fill out a form, or are you taking them to the Calendly? Are you doing a combination of the two? Or are you trying to get them to actually buy? What are you guys doing with your offers, your call?
I'm driving them to my form still, because I still want to get them on the phone and talk to them, because when I can talk to somebody, I'm going to have more success. This actually came up in VFM. Somebody asked that question. I think Pat asked the question. And I prefer still sending them to the form where I can qualify them. They're going to tell me information about themselves that arms me with what to talk about when I call them. And then the key is to call them preferably within 24 hours.
Okay, yeah, and that makes great sense. But have you tested that, Rick, versus a form versus Calendly? Having them like book time for a call?
We actually had this discussion in VFM the other day. Walter Fleiss, he was doing that where they book it in Calendly or Acuity, one of them. And he showed his numbers. He was getting great numbers on his leads, but he was only getting, 50% of the people booking, and then he was only getting a 19% show rate.
Showing up for the call, the Calendly call?
No, he wasn't doing a call. It was showing up for their appointment. They were booking the appointment to come in and see him, and then only 19% were not showing up. And of the 19% that showed up, he had a 71% close rate, which tells me his problem is there's not enough interaction to get him to show up there. Which still gets back to the same thing that we talk about. It's personal training. Be personal. Get on the phone. Engage with them. I still am a believer in that myself.
And I think that makes perfect sense what you just described. But what I'm curious about is if you could test them as opposed to having them fill out a form, and then you'd have to have another touch where you're either just trying to call them blindly because you don't have a scheduled time, or you're sending them an email trying to schedule a time to call, versus having them book a time to actually speak to you on the phone through Calendly.
Yeah, but that's what Walter was effectively doing. They book a time, and he was getting a lot of people just not engaging with them after they book it, or not engaging at all.
But didn't you say he was booking a time to have them come in for a...
That was my understanding, yes. But he also said in that whole thing that he would reach out and try to text them, try to call them to confirm or whatever.
Interesting. Okay.
So to me, it's not really much different.
I see. Okay. All right.
Let me just say, I heard all your stats, but what I don't know is the total volume. Based on total volume, you can get rich that way, dude.
Yeah. But
if you can drive enough leads, yeah.
Yeah, but think about how much richer he can get if he's getting more people to show up.
Hey, I could not disagree. All I would say was, depending on his volume and his 19% conversion rate, dude, show me 19% conversion rate anywhere. I mean, off of a cold lead like that.
Yeah, as long as he can get them to show up, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. Wayne, what are you using for your offer call to action? What are you having people do once they hit your landing page?
Do the opt-in, so I get their email, and then they have autoresponders for whatever particular promotion that they're doing, and then all the emails have when the orientation is that they're supposed to come to. And usually I drop in some testimonial from pictures, just like the transformation pictures, some more social proof. But I'm having the same kind of show, like of the 100% of people that opt in, 50% show up for the orientation, but usually 100% that show up for the orientation sign up. So I think I'm going to start adding a phone number in there, so I can add that extra personal touch instead of just the autoresponder. I think that would increase the show rate.
It'll decrease your leads and increase your show rate. So, but decreasing leads is not always a bad thing because you're getting better quality. Yeah. So, okay, that's interesting. So, but you don't ask them to fill out a complete form. It's just at this point, it's just email.
Yeah, and I did ask them after they give the email. It took them to a thank you page in ClickFunnels. And I said, I drew arrows to it, and I said, go to this calendar and let me know which orientation you're coming to, the one on Thursday night or Saturday. And most people did fill it out. Well, maybe 75% of them, but I still only had about 50% of those actually show up. So they went through that step of scheduling which one they're coming to, but they still didn't show up. Yeah. So I think that extra personal touch of a phone call somewhere beforehand would probably help.
How many people total showed up though, Wayne?
This one was pretty bad. It was only like 9.
Okay.
9. And I can't put my hands on it right now. I don't know how many opted in. I might could pull it up while we're talking, but not as many people opted in for it either.
Yeah. So your percentages remain about the same. It's just you just didn't drive enough leads in on the front end of the funnel.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that case, your issue is your offer. It's not compelling enough to get them to fill out the form. That's what it sounds like. In Walter's case, the offer was very compelling, but he included it from the offer to go up, which means there's something broke in his system.
Rick, say that again because we got some feedback. I couldn't hear you.
I said in Wayne's case, he needs to look at his offer that he's not getting enough people to opt in, so it's not compelling enough. In Walter's case, he was getting plenty of leads, but they weren't showing up, so there's something broken in his system from the offer to getting them there. So in his case, I think a phone call, at least confirming the appointment, would probably increase his show rate by, who knows, another 30-40% maybe. I don't know the exact number, but I think he would get more people there just by a simple phone call confirming the appointment.
No doubt.
Or even just a text, maybe a phone call and a text
I think
just
wouldn't do as well because they can blow that off.
Right. But they're going to get it. But anyway, I just looked and I had 33 total opt-in and only 10 showed up.
Okay.
Or 9, I think.
27%.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think anytime you can add another contact, particularly if it's a phone, one-on-one, because if people tell you on the phone, yes, I will be there, most people will actually show, because then it becomes an integrity issue for them that they've committed to something and they don't want to break it. So that there's power there. But anyway, thanks, guys. I appreciate the feedback on that. It's helpful to me because it's one of the things I'm looking at with the local by referral is how we're going to build that funnel and what the call to action is going to be. And so that's why I was curious about it. But so you're very helpful. Thank you.
I've never tested the other way myself. I mean, just because, especially because I'm in such a small community, I can't afford to lose that many people that opt into my thing, by relying on technology.
Yeah.
And like I said, in my case, it's just, I guess I'm old school, guys, and I just still, and I say it all the time, it's called personal training, so we should be personal. And I think that personal part starts at the very beginning, not after we get them in our program. That's just me. Take it for what it's worth.
I could not disagree more. I mean, I could not agree more. I mean, you're absolutely right. I think it's how you build a business and keep a business.
Yeah.
If the business is built on relationship, shouldn't we build that relationship right from the beginning and quit relying on technology so much?
Completely agree.
No doubt. I would just say to that point that I think the way to scale is for, because in your case, Rick, if you're driving enough leads, your local area maybe not, but in some other area where there's enough, you're driving enough local leads, you, the CEO, shouldn't be the one necessarily calling everybody, but you hire somebody to handle that. But I agree with you. Make those outbound calls immediately as fast as you can. That's you'll get a much better lead conversion on those things.
Yeah, and I think I was actually talking to Aaron last week about this. I mean, I, in 48 hours, sold 26 people out of 24 appointments.
That's a good 48 hours.
Thursday and Friday, because let's face it, it's just perversity of human nature that people wait till the last minute. Well, they knew Friday was the last day. So Thursday and Friday, I had 24 appointments, literally, and signed up 26 people.
Yeah.
Wait. You had 24 appointments and you signed up 26.
Yeah, I'm that good.
Nice.
But it's honest God's truth. I honestly did, Aaron. I had a couple of them at the last minute. Hey, can I bring somebody with me? Bring them.
Yeah, that went right over my head. I thought you were, nice. Yeah. That's nice.
I thought you and I talked about this last week, Aaron.
If we did, it's like, Eric, that went over my head. I did not realize you had sold more than you'd booked.
Yeah.
Hey, one other quick question before we wrap this up. Rick, with your form, when they complete the form, do you call them immediately? I mean,
if I'm available, yes. It takes them to a thank you page and tells them point blank that we will reach out to you within 24 hours. Here is the phone number to expect the call to come from. However, if you know you're ready to get started right now and you don't want to wait for us, pick up the phone and call us right this minute.
Yeah, good.
And then I've got testimonial videos from Eric Rokich on the form page and on my thank you page. So again, it's creating that personal touch before I call them. They basically know me before they come here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the one video is talking about the program, and then on the thank you page, it's a Who is Rick Streb video, so that people are talking about. So they pretty much know who I am before I even call them. And then when I pick up the phone and call them, I've even said, "Oh, wait a minute, you're the guy in the video that they're talking about." Yeah.
So you're already getting a result then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before they already, by the time I get off the phone, and if they set an appointment, I'm getting them. They're coming just to pay me, basically, fill out paperwork and pay me.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So the only way it doesn't happen is if somebody doesn't show up for an appointment, and in which case they were going to be a flake anyway, and they're better off not being in my program.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Awesome stuff. All right, Wayne, was there anything else, or are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I was just going to mention I'm going to start. I've done a little bit with ManyChat, and that's supposed to be an easier way for people to start in your to start having interaction with you, because they can just click a button or either comment on a post, and then you can put them in a flow of messages where they get to know, and they get to know you, and then somewhere along the way you can put a message in there to somehow capture their email and then get them that way. So that might be like throwing a bigger net, but I'm looking into that.
Same thing next week, Wayne, because it's already been proven. There's been enough data now that it's got like a 90% open rate as opposed to email having 2 or 3% open rate.
And there's like a simple button you can put on a website that says, "Hey, can I send you something through Facebook Messenger?" And they just click the button, and all of a sudden they're in your group. Or another way is to have an engaging post and say, "Hey, would you like this paleo meal plan? Type sure below," and when they type sure in the comments, they automatically get put in your sequence. So there's a lot of different things to do.
What I'm planning on doing in my next challenge, yes, they're still going to get the phone call. It's going to go through that. But when they click on that form, they're also going to receive the messenger message from me. So I'm going to start engaging them there, because all of a sudden they're going to get it, and it's going to say, "Okay, expect a phone call from this. You'll be hearing from Rick," whatever, whatever the message is based on the amount of characters that makes sense. So I'm going to even test it there to when, as soon as they fill out that form, it's also going to initiate the ManyChat message.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It is. It's a nice little piece of technology, that's for sure, and it can complement what you're doing dramatically. I just caution everybody it's not a substitute for email. It's a complement to, an addition, a way to get more and better results.
And I'll be honest with you, I'm going to have Scott Rawcliffe doing it for me, and he knows what he's doing with it. So once I see how it's really built out and working, I can give you more information, because obviously I'm going to be knee deep in it, watching how he's doing it and learning it. But I'm going to let him set it up because he's damn good at it.
Yeah, that's good.
And I would say ride the wave while it's there to ride, because like everything, that wave's going to come down sooner or later, and people get sick and tired of that.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's right. That's right. I think, we'll see how, and plus,
just like with Facebook ads, you're going to benefit from being on the front end of it.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Just so important to get them off of chat and onto your email list, because you own your email. You don't own that marketing channel, Facebook.
Exactly. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your asset. You own it. That's your money.
Right. No doubt. All right, gang. Thank you all very much. We're going to wrap it up. Really appreciate it. And good to have visitors on here too, with Grandpa Wayne. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend.
Thanks. I'll talk to you soon, Eric.
Yeah. Rick, let's